Michael J.
So, what is your favorite ultimatum?
Dude, I don't even know. It is nice that they are they're interesting. You know, like there's some, like obviously there's some pretty intense ultimatums here, but I think that there might be, my hope anyway, is that there's a slightly better spread of power among the ultimatums. I mean, the original ultimatums, like a Cruel Ultimatum, was it was that jam, whereas, you know, beyond that, I mean, I guess Violent Ultimatum is like second, right?
Violent
and that
Ultimatum was pretty niche, right?
Well, yeah, but that was like the second best of them, right?
I don't even know what the other ultimatums do. Maybe Brilliant Ultimatum had some.
The Esper Ultimatum actually could be part of some combos or something, but it's like. So anyway, out of these, I think they're all worth a run through. Starting with Ruinous Ultimatum, man, destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control.
I think Ruinous Ultimatum gets a bad rap, right? It's like not. I think it's arguably the least flashy, least kind of in terms of like how much excitement it generates. Ultimatum, but it's not bad. Like this is 7 mana. We talk a lot about cards that basically for 6 mana Desert Twister something. This can Desert Twister like 40 things for only 1 more mana. Or it can only Desert Twister one thing, or it might do nothing.
Well, I don't know how much we talk about things for 6 mana at the Desert Twister.
Oh, we do. But like... all the time. We talk about Garuks. We talk about Ugins. We talk
those also give you a Planeswalker. Okay, here's what I got to say about Ruinous Ultimatum, dude. Like, haven't we played multiple 7 mana Wraths that let you keep one guy?
Well, have we? I guess those Land Awakening things kind of...
No. Like back in like around the Siege Rhino era, sometimes you'd play one of the, like there was an Abzan Wrath, and then you get to make one of your creatures indestructible.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. This is 7 mana Wrath, just like that one. And the only difference is that instead of only getting to choose to keep one of yours, you get to keep all of yours. Plus, you destroy all of your opponent's other non-land permanents like they're planeswalkers.
Yeah. What I like about this
card... the downside's just the cost being more restrictive, but in your deck, that might not even matter. This card looks good to me.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think it gets a bad rap. Like, I think it's good.
Who's giving it a bad rap?
People who aren't excited by it. The people. The people who are looking, good. They're looking at Ugins, they're looking at Casualties of War, they're looking at Garuks, and they're like, I like my Desert Twister to be 6 with 1+ value.
This is not a Desert Twister.
It's 40 Desert Twisters. Or
it's 1. Not, well, I don't know about all that.
It could be 1, but it could be 40.
Dude, yeah, well, look, 1 more mana than an Akroma's Vengeance or Austere Command or whatever. Oh. Spending 1 more mana to be able to have it go only the one way. This is like the best Plague Wind.
Wow.
Well, no, Perish is the best Plague Wind. Perish.
Wow, Perish. Do you remember when Johnny had 9 Perishes and he played against
Dude, okay. Yes.
There were 9.
So anyway, it sounds like we're both on the same page that this is a good card. You have it reluctantly the worst, but decent.
No, I don't think it's the worst, but decent. I think it's maybe third, maybe third.
I think this card will see play. I don't think it's a Cruel Ultimatum, but I think it's it's an Austere Command.
So would you compare it to like an Austere Command, a Planar Cleansing, and a Chroma's Vengeance? You know, you're tugging at my heart.
Well, it's not as good. It's not as good as. I don't think it's as good as a Chroma's Vengeance. Just because cycling is actually like a nice option, and contextually, Chroma's Vengeance was very valuable.
Well, so,
but I do think
for me was an Armageddon for them.
But yeah, I think this card is like, I think this card's comparable to Planar Cleansing.
Yeah, it's a one-way Planar Cleansing for 1 more mana. I love it now that you're saying it that way. The thing that I was always just kind of fantasizing about with this card was like killing all their stupid cats, killing all their stupid ovens, You're killing all their food tokens all at once. And your little dog too, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, isn't this card just like a Casualties of War for 1 mana more, except that you get everything?
Yeah, I like it.
You don't get there. You skip out on the 1 land. I don't know, man. This card looks good to me.
I feel like,
yeah.
I feel like it's similar to Casualties of War, where we saw Casualties of War be as much as a 4 of, depending on the popularity of Oko's food tokens, cat food making ovens, etc., and then like wane down to 0 in the main deck and only a sideboard card in different times when it was about more aggro decks, but it was still present. I think Ruinous Ultimatum is going to be like that. Like in certain times, it's going to be really, really valuable, and other times, like if people are going really tall, it's a very expensive terror, but it's going to be played.
Yep, and it's not really as much a terror as it is a Desert Twister. But yeah. What about Genesis Ultimatum, man? So this is the blue-centric one, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put any number of permanent cards from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest into your hand. Exile Genesis Ultimatum.
So this one obviously also tugs my heartstrings a little bit. Do you remember when I was Genesis waving? You needed to get up to 9 mana, and you needed to bias your deck real crooked to make the previous Genesis wave work. This is so much easier. For only 7 mana, you look at 5. And instead of only being permanents, you just keep them all. It just plays the permanents for you, and you keep the non-permanent ones. This card seems fabulous to me.
So this is kind of like that 7 and I draw 7, except you draw 2 less cards in exchange for some Black Lotuses, and then it's more restrictive on a cost on the upfront.
I think it's great. Like the thing that is, in decks that have real expensive stuff, or like really like high leverage or high value stuff, you can get like such a huge return on this. I mean, obviously sometimes you're just going to get cards like more Genesis Ultimatums, which maybe might be good, might not be. And then sometimes you get land, which is also potentially good, but if you're already rolling 7, maybe it's less exciting. But I think this one is a player.
It's interesting how similar it is. I mean, I'm sure that the supporting architecture is flipped opposite, but like Inspired Ultimatum versus this one, it is a little weird that they're both draw 5s that give you some board impact.
Yeah.
Inspired Ultimatum is the red-centric one that target player gains 5 life. Inspired Ultimatum deals 5 damage to any target, and then you draw 5 cards.
This is the kind of Cruel Ultimatum wannabe of this cycle, right?
I don't know. Why? Just because it does 5 damage and gains 5 life like Cruel Ultimatum, and then instead of draw 3 cards and get 3 back from the graveyard, you just draw 5 cards. And then instead of mind twisting them, you don't. And instead of edicting them, you don't.
You
do 5 to a target. That's something, I guess.
I mean, I don't think it's as good as Cruel Ultimatum, but I think this is the one that's trying to be real reminiscent of that card. That's what I feel.
Okay, sure. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's mechanically the most similar to Cruel Ultimatum, but wow, does it not seem as powerful?
Well, there's always a higher power.
Yeah.
It's usually Bolus.
Wait, so do people think, are people just more into Inspired Ultimatum than Ruinous Ultimatum?
Yeah, I think that people think Inspired Ultimatum is the bee's knees of this cycle. Is that? I mean, I'm not asking whether
they think it's the best one.
Yeah, I think that's what people think. That's the scuttlebutt that I seem to be reading in Twitter, social media, Magic the Gathering articles. People seem to like this one. Also, this one has a kind of an obvious starting point.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to actually try. You can you get a 5-point drain and then you draw 5 cards. Like, as far as Sphinx's revs go, that's not the worst, right? Like, it doesn't cycle very efficiently. But, like, it's pretty straightforward and easy to use, which is generally, day one, people like the cards that are straightforward, easy to use.
Do you like this just kind of conceptually in a deck with Fires of Invention? Or do you think it's just going to drag down that archetype that just its other stuff works too well together?
Help me understand. Why is it that you like this with Fires of Invention more than Genesis Ultimatum?
I don't know that I like it more than Genesis Ultimatum. I actually just hadn't thought about Genesis Ultimatum and Fires of Invention, but now that you say it out loud, I feel foolhardy for having not considered that.
Because the thing is that
it's great.
When you have Fires of Invention, raw quantity of card draw usually has diminishing returns because you get bottlenecked, right? Like you have your ability to play exactly 2, right? Like you can only play 2, and no matter how many extra cards you draw, you're not getting ahead, right? You get more options, but you get greatly diminishing returns beyond the second non-land card you can play each turn.
Yeah, unless
versus
you have, like some tricky stuff, right? Like unless you have like the turtle or the tornado shark or whatever, like that kind of stuff.
I'm just saying I'm saying in the normal use case, the extra cards have diminishing returns. So Inspired Ultimatum has the advantage of it's a 5-point drain in addition to being all the extra cards. So it's like doing something materially impacting things. But then Genesis Ultimatum, instead of being a 5-point drain, it lets you show and tell out lots of permanents. Maybe all of them.
And I guess
like Fires of Invention decks.
Right?
Yeah, like Fires of Invention decks, don't they have like lots of permanents?
Yeah, they have.
Like when you play
pretty much all permanents these days.
Right, and so if you Genesis Ultimatum, aren't you thinking that on the average you're going to get about at least 5 Black Lotuses in addition to the draw 5?
No, you're going to flip land.
Right, and they're going to go straight into play.
Okay, I'm trying to extrapolate how that's. I understand what you're saying now. Okay, 5.
Okay, let's say that 2 of them are land.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say you don't even count those Black Lotuses. Your 3 non-land cards. Let's say that 2 of those are permanents, and you got unlucky and got Genesis Ultimatum, or alternatively, 3 of them are permanents. Either way, you're happy. If 3 of them are permanents, on the average, that's probably an extra 12 mana there, right?
Well, it's probably slightly above 12 mana, right? So let's say it's only 12 mana, right? 12 plus 2 land, that's 15 mana, right? So I get it. It's like 5 Black Lotuses. Okay. I'm into it.
Yeah, I guess. So, I don't know. To me, Genesis Ultimatum looks sweet. It just looks like it's going to take a little bit different of like it's not like every Fires of Invention deck is just naturally set up with green. Inspired Ultimatum is so obvious you can just my deck can play it, boom.
So here's the thing about Genesis Ultimatum. I guess it's very powerful in a Fires of Invention deck, but I was just thinking just playing it with like regular ramp stuff. Like there's a new Explosive Vegetation that has a sweet extra line of text on it now. Like we can get there pro fast with growth spirals and all kinds of stuff like that. Although maybe you don't want to be just flipping mana accelerator.
Well, it still goes to your hand.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you can cycle.
Yeah, and if it's stuff like Uro, even though Uro, gets binned, it's not like that's the worst.
That's a fine miss. Very happy with that.
Well, you get to play it for free. It's not like growth spiral. You actually have to cast it.
Yeah, if you miss with Uro, like among other things, it replaces itself. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know. Genesis Ultimatum looks like it's more rate. You can't use it with everything. Like Inspired Ultimatum works with stone anything.
Yeah.
But I think Genesis Ultimatum looks like it has the higher ceiling. What about Eerie Ultimatum? This is the black-centric one. Return any... And that's, by the way, that's pretty cool. I think that this set, having its own identity that's like different than the Khans of Tarkir era, where the enemy is sort of in control. It's like the enemy, and there's like a color, and it's 2 enemies. And this time, the color that has 2 enemies is the one driving it. So anyway, I think that's kind of cool. Return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Obviously, it's super powerful. I think it's the only one of this cycle of 5 ultimatums that requires a little setup. I mean, obviously, you could just play it for value.
Why not? What a Ruinous Ultimatum.
I mean, the setup is your opponent is playing cards. That's not quite the same thing. Like this one, if you don't have, strategic, expensive, whatever adjective kind of permanence in your graveyard, Eerie Ultimatum is not exciting. Even if you just played for value, you need to be getting stuff that's worth getting back.
You got to get a lot back to pay for white, black, green on a sorcery.
Yeah, I feel like there are other things that do Eerie Ultimatum maybe not as good, but they also require a little bit less. Like, that's a very prohibitive top right corner. Like, the obvious comparison is Command the Dreadhorde, and which is less mana, obviously asks somewhat more of you. I don't know. I think this card, given the right setup, it could be very exciting, right? All you need to do is...
Totally. This could be part of a winning... This could be part of a game-winning combo. Or this could be a useful sideboard card for somebody to want to have a trump to go over the top.
Oh, sure.
Because it's like a bigger Dreadhorde. This card's got purpose. It's just so... You're not wrong. I mean, that setup need here, this one's the biggest wild card to me because it's like... I just don't... You really need to know the context of what the format's going to look like before evaluating how valuable an option like this is, because it's strong but unwieldy.
Like, I can imagine a format where I'm just sitting there going, like, not standard probably, where I'm just like kind of Satyr Wayfindering and Grizzly Salvaging, putting things into my graveyard and hitting my land drops as a result of those things, chump blocking a bunch of times, hit my land drops, and then I'm like, here's my big spell. But obviously that doesn't work, against even a single duress sometimes. Permission, combo decks, like you need people to be playing a certain way for that to pay off. That seemed like an obvious way to go with it for me. I think that your suggestion of this just being the big thing in the sideboard is, I think that's the best use case I've seen so far anyway.
Word. What about Immersion Ultimatum, man? The green century.
Thought a lot about this one. Obviously,
search your library for 3 monocolored cards with different names and exile them. An opponent chooses one of those cards. Shuffle that card into your library. You may cast the other cards without paying their mana costs. Exile Emergent Ultimatum.
So I did 2 exercises when I saw this card. One of them was just to look up what the most expensive cards in Standard were, right? So like how silly can we get, right, if we're talking about Standard? And then separate thing, I was just thinking about like, what's some obvious big things you can do in a format that's accommodating, right? Like, sake of argument, you can go Omniscience plus a 2-card combo that wins the game, right? As something you could do with Emergent Ultimatum, and I guess that's pretty interesting. It's asking an enormous amount from you to get there. And I was not really enthused by the possibilities in Standard right now. Like, yeah, there's good stuff you can get. It's pretty expensive. But, like, do I really want to jam in Standard a card this prohibitive? I don't know. I'm not... I think I might be least excited. Or Eerie Ultimatum, at least I have a great use case from the sideboard that you're saying. This one, I don't know. It's good, I guess, if you cast it and it's in your deck, but I'm not scribbling in my notebook incessantly with inspiration on this one.
What if you got in Standard, what if you got Plane-Wide Celebration? Is that good?
That was on my list, yeah.
Liliana Dreadhorde General?
That was on my list.
End Raise Forerunners?
On my list.
Agent of Treachery?
Yep. Those are like, but I was thinking to myself, I was just like, am I going to be the first person who like lands a free Plane-Wide Celebration and another 6 or higher casting cost thing and then just still loses? Like, that was the thought that went through my head. Like, Endrace Forerunners, like, is the kind of card that they might just give you because it's not doing anything this turn. Or that's the thing I was like, You have to be at a certain place for Endrace Forerunners to be good. Obviously, Agent of Treachery is always going to be its mana's worth if it comes out. It's costed correctly for that. Maybe they just don't give it to you. And I feel like if they give you like 2 Planeswalkers or something, yeah, you're going to be decently ahead. But you just cast a 7 casting cost hella sorcery on your own turn. You're supposed to get a big return out of it if it resolves. Like, is this more or less backbreaking then 7. I mean, whatever. Whether it's like 6, 8, because those are evens, but like 7 mana worth of hybrid Krasis, right? Like, it's not clear to me that the Krasis is so much worse than an Emergent Ultimatum.
Okay, here. Let's take a step back a second. Is this card? Is this effect? Set aside the prohibitive cost. Is this effect, in your estimation, stronger or weaker than a fully kicked Tooth and Nail?
Weaker.
This is weak.
Yeah, because they have some choice in the matter, and because they have some.
But you can get non-creatures.
Yeah, you can. But in a fully kicked Tooth and Nail, in every format that it's ever been legal, has been able to kill immediately. Right? So,
well, this kills immediately. Okay, let's say you're playing Modern. There's got to be 2 burn spells that do 10 and a fork you can play.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any shortage of ways that you can put your opponent into a likely losing situation in Extended, Legacy, Modern, whatever. It's a 7 casting cost sorcery. That's my problem with it, right? Like,
yeah, but hold on. But Tooth and Nail has seen play at 9.
But the difference, in my mind, a Tooth and Nail being successful in some of those decks is that, A, you're talking about being in a monocolor deck, right? So it's less. I mean, I guess you asked for it to be less prohibitive on cost, but like they just get the Mephidros and the Triskelion or whatever they're going to get to get you. This. I guess if you have a big...
As long as you get 3 cards that any 2 of them kill, then it's the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I mean, just off the top of my head, I was just like, an Omniscience and a 2-card combo is usually going to be pretty scary for them, right? Like, they can't necessarily give you the 2-card combo, but if they give you the Omniscience and you're already playing Emergent Ultimatum, I don't know what they're supposed to be able to do there, right? That seems to me like... That's the worst thing I could think of off the top of my head. Maybe there's something worse than that, but a Kiki Jiki and a Pestermite or whatever.
I mean, I don't know. I got to imagine that this is like maybe Pioneer is the level for this, because it's not like there's even that much disruption, and I bet you could set it up. I don't know what the kill is yet, but I bet there's a way to do it in Pioneer.
Well, you could just get value in Pioneer. Pioneer's the kind of format where
maybe
triple
but
value might bury someone.
Yeah, but what if you could just win? It doesn't take that much.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can win with. Like a Walking Ballista and a Heliod is it's pretty easy. People can do that. There are other such combinations.
Yeah, but how do you get isn't your Ballista going to die on the way in?
It depends.
You can't get Ballista, so you can't get Ballista anyway.
Oh, you're right.
It's not a monocolor.
You're correct. Apologize.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do, like different kinds of spike feeders and Archangels of Thune, right? You can do those. That's pretty easy.
Maybe, but I think you're still not thinking about it the right way, because let's say that you go get Spike Feeder Angel. What are you imagining the 3rd card being? It's not like there's a card that just when you combine it with Spike Feeder wins and when you combine it with Archangel wins. You got to think about it in terms of cards where you need to find 3 combos that are each 2 cards and go around in a circle. That's why I was talking about if you have 2 different cards that do 10 and a fork, then no matter what they give you, you win. Normally, you know what I mean? Like, obviously they get a 21 life, but... So, I don't know. Like, is Sorin's Vengeance legal?
I don't remember which one's...
That's legal in Modern. I don't think that's legal. That's the deal 10 to them, but you could gain that much life. I don't know. Anyway, this one seems kind of like a fancy Tooth and Nail of sorts.
Yeah, it's like a Tooth and Nail puzzler, right? Like, I mean, maybe somebody's already figured out what the right combination per format is. I think certainly if it resolves, in Standard or any bigger format, your opponent has got their back against the wall. But I don't think that there's like a lot of really obvious ways to win immediately that are not disruptible right now.
In Standard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. In Standard, the best I could do was just like 3 really good Planeswalkers, because I feel like the really expensive cards are like Magic Mirror, Cauldron. Yeah. The most of the things that I was trying to imagine were, I'm playing in a Merchant Ultimatum, but I don't already have, any kind of a decisive advantage on the battlefield. That's just kind of the problem space that I was starting from. If you're already in a position where you have like a bunch of guys or something, cards like Enduray's Forerunners get a lot more valuable. But that wasn't where I was like starting from. I was thinking like maybe I'll spend most of my mana, most of my land drops, etc., just accelerated to the point to cast the Merchant Ultimatum. That was the thing I was thinking.
Dude, Impervious Great Worm is legal. That's a 16/16 indestructible.
Yeah, you could get the Kong. I think that guy's pretty insane. We didn't talk about just like some of the flashy permanents yet, have we? The single color flash.
All right. Let's take it as a given that there's some stuff there. Let's talk about your boy King Kong. Kogla, the Titan Ape, 3 green. So Jarvan's a 7/6. When Kogla, the Titan Ape, enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. And when Kogla attacks, destroy target artifact enchantment defending player controls, and has 1 in a green, return target human you control to its owner's hand. Kogla gains indestructible until end of turn.
So there are 2 things that I thought of, both of which emerged from Michigan with Kogla. One of them was, last week we had that discussion about Dirgebat, and Dirgebat mutates for 6 and then has that kind of a Necrotol ability. This is what I want to get in my 6-mana Necrotol. This is to me the comparison that I was going for. The other thing I was thinking about, something that just stayed with me as a strategist of Magic the Gathering and an evaluator of cards for more than 20 years now, which is that every single set there would always be like some flashy green fatty. And EDT said to me, the game just doesn't need another flashy green fatty. That doesn't move the bar, right? That doesn't make blue less of a stranglehold. This is the kind of card, if I'm going to invest 6 mana in a green fatty, Kogla is... Sign me up for Team Kogla. That's where I'm saying.
This card looks incredible.
Right?
I think this card's going to be played in power formats.
Really?
It's... Yeah. It's too useful. Okay, so obviously, not every powered format, every powered deck in it is one in which you want 6 mana fatties. But you got to remember, this is not only is it for the most part, a Necrotol on the way in, it's a 7/6, which is outrageously big. And when it attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment is actually like kind of useful. And then this last ability, 1 in a green, return target human, setting aside that there might be some infinite combo with this. It's not like you can only use this once a turn.
I mean, I hadn't even thought about the possibilities of an infinite combo. I was just like, what if I just had some sweet 187 human I wanted to replay?
Totally.
Go draw me a land, man. Smash their artifact, bounce their creature. All kinds of stuff can be working off of Kogla. Here's the thing about this card. This is a Desert Twister I could get behind, because I feel like, how big is a creature, right? Like, is there anybody that I'm going to contend against on a normal basis that's bigger than 7 toughness? Because Kogla for 6 can just kill him, even if he doesn't make it out of the fight alive, right? Like, Kogla took that 7 toughness mother down.
Kogla's going to be pretty effective at doing that, assuming it doesn't die in response to Doomblade guy.
Oh, well. Thanks for spoiling Kogla's life. You know what's heartening about it, though, is Kogla is often going to be cast on the back of a Nissa, so you might just have some spare 1 in a G and maybe a little setup man to help out, keep Kogla alive just in case.
Totally. Okay, so here's some humans that are worth giving some thought to in Standard with Kogla. So what do you think of Kogla with Charming Prince?
I think that the Charming Prince is going to be very happy to come after Kogla.
Yeah, I had a feeling that, well, or in front of, because it works both ways.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, among other things, Charming Prince can just pave the way to the 6 mana that you need to cast Kogla. Like, let me help you out there. I'm into it. That sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds great to me too. Okay, here's another one. What about Acclaimed Contender? Not as sexy, but value.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about Gatwick the Wizened?
Oh, wow. Holy GGGUU in the top right corner, but if you can swing it, that's unreal.
Right, it's not like it's that hard. Getting Kogla by you the time you have 6, it's not like you can't play Gadwick in a Nissa deck anyway.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, I believe Paulo Vitor Domitrosa won a Pro Tour playing Gadwick in a Nissa deck.
Yeah. So I don't know. That sounds okay to me, man.
I'm into it.
What about Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths? It's kind of a weird way to do it, but...
I buy it. It seems like a weird pairing, but like if it worked out on the mana, then it seems fine.
What about Massacre Girl?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. She's quietly a human.
Yeah, that's weird though. That's
weird but true.
Not making any friends. Not at all. Massacre Girl and Kogla. Wow.
What about Agent of Treachery?
Oh, that's a sick one.
Yeah.
See, the Agent of Treachery Kogla Gadwick deck sounds insane to me, but then I don't know. What's my average converted mana cost in this deck?
Dude, that's the blue-green ramp deck of your dreams.
Oh, I mean, it's a blue-green ramp deck of some people's nightmares, but that's super sick.
Kogla is going to Kogla has the potential to really pull you back into your old vices. Okay, last one. This one's very modest. It's very modest, but it might be kind of interesting. Setessan Petitioner. 1 green, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you gain life equal to your devotion to green. So if you have nothing else, you can just, each time you play the Petitioner, you gain 5 more life. And if you have any other green permanents, you can quickly just gain a prohibitive amount of life, right?
Well, you were right that was a kind of a humble one. I could see that ruining some people's day, but it's not high up in my priority list. But maybe toolbox wise, that's pretty interesting because you could just do it, right?
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll tell you what. In powered formats, there's only one human that you need to know. Snapcaster Mage.
Oh, that's gross.
See? I'm telling you. Yep. Kogla in powered formats. Yep. If Snapcaster Mage is legal, then man, you got a human that you want to kick it with.
I'm into Kogla.
Yeah, I'm into Kogla too. Kogla's one of the top cards in the set. Jumping to a completely different kind of, vibe. What do you think of the white one, Luminous Broodmoth, the 2 white 3/4 flyer, and whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter. Did we talk about this one a little last week? Because I know this one's been out.
I don't believe we have.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, if you've got some sort of thing that makes it so that creatures can't have counters put on them, there are some pretty easy infinite kills from this card. That's one thing, right? Like, how about Luminous Broodmoth and Kroxa? Like, you have Luminous Broodmoth, you cast a Kroxa. Kroxa goes to the graveyard. Oh, wait, he comes back. Oh, wait, no flying counter, etc., etc. So that's something that I'm not sure.
Wait. That's not an infinite combo, is it?
Why not?
Or are you saying it's just one a turn?
No. If I have a Luminous Broodmoth and I have some sort of a card that makes it so you can't get a counter, right? And I play a Kroxa.
Right.
Kroxa comes into play.
Oh, you're saying a third piece of the combo is a card that makes you not get counters. Ah, gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
So, but if you have that, Which might be silly, right? Maybe you don't want to play a card that makes it so you can't get counters. But I feel like that was like one of the first things that went to my head. Because
Uro wins too, right?
I'm not sure. Doesn't Uro just make you draw your deck and then die?
No, you get to put a lot of land in play.
Yeah, but you have to keep drawing.
Yeah, and then eventually you can get out of it.
How do you
kill you because some card in your deck will let you kill the thing that doesn't make counters on stuff.
Yeah, because you're getting all the land.
You're getting all the land, and you're drawing all the cards.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's super easy to set that up if such a thing,
Oh yeah, once you have it lined up, assuming that card is in your deck, it's a deterministic 4-card combo. Okay, that's cool.
And one of them you don't have to draw.
Yeah. Obviously the card is extraordinarily powerful given that condition, but most of the time it doesn't have that condition. I still think it's pretty good.
So you're just going to play this card for value?
I think that's one way to do it, right? Like, it basically turns everything into a kind of cantrip, right?
Sort of. I mean, it just dies, though, so it's not a cantrip when it dies. Right?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, if you just put this out, and then they just
kill the Ruinous Broodmoth? Okay. Yes, that's true.
They just deal 4 to it, gain 4, mill 4, and make a dude or whatever.
So I think in some matchups, matchups that attacking and specifically blocking are good. I think Luminous Broodmoth is kind of the king of that mountain, right? Like where it's about creature combat, and maybe that makes it a sideboard card. But can you imagine I don't know, kind of like a mid-range creature deck against another mid-range creature deck, like maybe humans type cards, just You're swinging with your 2/2. I block with my 2/2. I get a 2/2 back, and now it flies. I swing back for 2. Seems pretty bad for you,
dude. What if you combine this with Gravity Gravity Sphere?
Which one's Gravity Sphere?
In Legends, red for Enchant World. Creatures can't fly. Creatures don't have flying or whatever. Wait, is that the same thing as not having flying?
I don't know.
Who knows? So I don't know. Are you a buyer on this card for value or only in the combos?
I'm a buyer on this card for value. I think this card is going to be a very effective card. I mean, again, this is going to be one of these standard formats, I think, that I would liken to Pro Tour Columbus 2004, where I was just like, you look at the decks in the top 16 and you look at the sideboards and you're like, these people prepared for completely different tournaments. It's insane. I think that's how diverse Standard is going to be. There's going to be decks I have a lot of guys and they're going wide, and there's other people I have a lot of guys and they're going tall. There's going to be other people who are I kill guys. Other people are going to be I draw guys. Right? Just completely different decks. All of them cool. I hope.
All right. What about the now that we have the blue mythos? We talked about all the other mythoses, but the blue mythos is 2 blue for a sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target permanent. And if red green was spent on the spell, instead create a token that's a copy of that permanent. With when this permanent enters the battlefield, if it's a creature, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control.
I find this card to be very, very exciting. I'm not sure if it's good. It seems really good, though. But I'm not sure.
You can copy your opponent's permanent.
Yeah. That's the thing that I think is the most exciting. First of all, copying things that are more expensive than 4, especially if they're Planeswalker, seems pretty good to me. Obviously, copying something that will immediately win a fight is pretty good. Right? I have lowered myself to playing Ray of Command in Constructed more than once. This card is substantially better than Ray of Command.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Right, I even think this card's better than Clash of Titans.
The postmodern Ray of Command.
The Clash of Titans is the new 5-mana fight. Yeah, so it's sort of a postmodern, but it's also, it fights. This card fights.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's your Ray of Command comparison.
Yeah, I think this card is I feel like it feels like Ruinous Ultimatum to me, which I know probably sounds a little silly to some people, which is like, it's good if they have permanence and permanence of a certain sort, right? Like that's it's true for both of those cards, but it's often not that good insofar that you don't actually want that as your answer to their permanent, right? Like, do you want Mythos of Aluna against somebody who plays the card, with like what's the ambusher? Like the 4-mana
Night Pack Ambusher?
Yeah. Like, do you want Mythos of Aluna against somebody with Night Pack Ambusher? No. That's a deck with many permanents, right? This stinks against that deck, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, you need them to play a convenient sort of permanent, but if they do, it's really good. But if they're Night Pack Ambusher, Frilled Mystic guy, and I have a lot of permanents, man. Look at all these flash permanents I have. You're like, oh, this card is terrible against them. You know, that's kind of where my head is at.
All right. I don't know. I just think you're spot on. What about the Escape Protocol? Here's a card that reminds me of some of your exploits. 1 and a blue enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 1. If you do, exile target artifact or creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. So it's a mana cheaper than Astral Slide type stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But it's it only hits your own stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the kind of person who has got a bunch of artifacts and/or creatures that have come into play or leaves play abilities, this card seems like a really easy way to rack up value. Like, so, say for sake of argument, you're like, Escape Protocol. I mean, I'm just going to make this really easy, right? And then you go Eternal Witness, and then you can cycle something that can be witnessed back. Like, all of a sudden, you have a very, very powerful engine just between those two cards.
Dude, Agent of Treachery again. It's always back to Agent of Treachery.
That's not bad at all. That's actually insane. Escape Protocol, Agent of Treachery, it doesn't take very long for you to just basically just completely take over everything, right? Like, if you can have Escape Protocol open to just defend the Agent of Treachery from removal also, right? Like, this is in a cycling deck. Love it.
Dude,
Love
maybe
it.
Maybe I'm a little behind. Isn't there a Storm Herald is a human, 3/2 haste. This is from back a little bit, but it's 3/2 haste, and when it enters the battlefield, return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to creatures you control. Exile those auras at the beginning of your next end step. If that aura would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere. Okay, that guy's got a clause. I'm trying to figure out how to cheat the system with Mystic Subdual. There's this card in the new set. 1 and a blue enchantment or enchanted creature gets -2, -0, and loses all abilities. And this thing has flash.
Yeah.
So if you've got your Mothra or whatever it is, and it's a 3. If you got Mothra in play, when something comes back with flying, you can play Mystic Subdual on it, and it won't have flying anymore. So if you had something that could keep getting the Mystic Subdual back, the Storm Herald doesn't work because it would exile it. But I'm just thinking about more combos, man. You see what I'm saying? That's just another angle.
I mean, actually, I was going to say that doesn't make any sense. Like, some sort of a humility would theoretically make sense, but it also turns the Mothra off, so that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
What do you think about this card? First of all, I think it's like an absolute triumph of flavor, but then also I think it might.
What's the card there?
Might be a sweet.
Sorry,
card.
I'm just trying to find.
Oh, the one that's like the Sharknado.
Okay, so Sharknado. Sharknado is a triumph of flavor?
Yeah, because it's like Shark
In
Typhoon.
what way? How is this a triumph of flavor?
Because it recalls
Sharks are your idea of XX Flyers because of spells being played?
Because of terrible B-movie horror movies.
That's not what a triumph of flavor means, dude. I
thought it was kind of cool. All right.
Sure, okay.
I also think this is a sweet card.
How does this compare to Decree of Justice?
It is not the same as Decree of Justice. So here's the thing about Decree of Justice. Way better than this card sometimes. Here's the thing about
Well,
Decree of
here's the thing about
Justice.
this card. This card's way better sometimes.
Yeah, if you're against like the goblin that shoots and then it untaps if it kills something, Decree of Justice is very good against that guy. And that guy happened to be legal with Decree of Justice and Standard, right? So you're kind of, evens and odds on that. I think generally speaking, Decree of Justice is more exciting. Also, Decree of Justice just being cast, I think, is more exciting than Shark Typhoon being cast. But I like this conceptually still, right? So, for 3 mana, you get kind of a Pike Knight blocker at instant speed. It's not that
In the
bad.
air.
Yeah, not bad. And then, obviously, if you have a ton of mana, you get something very akin to a Commence the End game. So, it's not...
I could see it. It's probably about as good as that.
Yeah, so Commence the End game, not nearly as good as I once thought it might be, but has seen some play. It's seen some effective play in some high-end decks. I don't know that I would very often want to cast Shark Typhoon for 6, but if I did, 2 or 3 turns in the future, I would probably have some impact on the battlefield.
Dude, Bastion of Remembrance has all the makings of just being quietly a sleeper powerhouse. This is the black one, 2 and a black enchantment. When Bastion of Remembrance enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. And then it has on the enchantment, whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So compare this to Blood Artist.
Yep.
For 1 mana more than Blood Artist, not only do you get a 1/1 to fight with, but your Blood Artist is invincible from all the sweepers. How is this card not really good?
Was Blood Artist played in the original Aristocrats Pro Tour winning deck? I don't remember.
It was played every time it was legal.
Yeah.
But I mean, Blood Artist was also just good in vampire decks, man.
So this card, it's easy to miss that it's giving you a guy, right? Because if it doesn't give you the guy, it's way less exciting. But it doesn't.
Why is it?
Yeah.
Is it way less exciting? It's the same as Blood Artist, but it doesn't die. Maybe Blood Artist is not worth it. Maybe it is, and maybe 1 mana isn't worth it for making your key card that they want to kill unkillable. But I don't know. It seems like it's at least exciting without the 1/1. And then when you throw the 1/1 in there, now suddenly we're talking about a major player instead of just a minor role player.
Yeah, I think that. Well, also the fact that this stacks is pretty fantastic, right?
Of course.
This is a really good example of a card, a lot like the Luminous Broodmoth, where if you were in a situation where people are playing, fair combat with each other and one of them had this card, it would not turn out well for the other player. It's just impossible to grind against that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, also, if you were the kind of person who made a lot of token creatures, imagine you're just all right, I have Bastion of Remembrance in play, and then, I just cast a March of the Multitudes or something. It now becomes impossible for your opponent to deal with you easily without first removing the Bastion of Remembrance from play.
Yep.
If you truck, either they just get hit in the face, or you're blocking their 1/1s, which are very likely to die, in which case they're draining on per 1/1 basis. So I think that's another way to go with it.
That sounds good. Definitely. What about out of those that rare cycle, the Titan's Nest is the Sultai one. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. And then it has exile a card from your graveyard to get a colorless mana. Spend this mana only to cast a colored spell without an X in its mana cost. If you put it down, don't you get channel immediately? Like you get a lot of colorless mana the turn you play this, if as long as you got something to do with it.
So I guess you could cast like a Karn with it, right? Like, or an Ugin.
No, you can't. Those are both not colored. You can only play colored spells without an X in its mana cost. So, for instance, you could play Searing Wind for 1 mana.
If you have a bunch of stuff to exile.
Right. You could play if you untap with this card, you can play Enter the Infinite. Like if you just play this card and then untap, it's like an enormous Thran dynamo of sorts. It's way less reliable, but it's way more explosive.
What are good ways in Sultai to get stuff into your graveyard before turn 4? Like a bunch of stuff.
Any of the Satyr Wayfinder types? Or are you meaning specifically in Standard right now?
I was just thinking Standard right now, but I mean, is this so? Do you think it's a combo card?
Yeah, I think so.
It kind of has to be.
Yeah, I think it has to be because I think you have to get an incredible amount to get your money's worth. I also think it's going to be hard to do it the turn you play it reliably, at least on turn 4. But what you really want to do is reliably play this, and if you get to untap, then you win.
Like maybe there's Phyrexian cards, right? Those are technically colored that you can.
Yeah, that's true. In Modern.
Yeah.
Sure. So, dude, what about the Triomes?
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
So these are the tapped Tri-lands, but they have 2 important differences compared to just like the Tri-lands from before.
The previous Tri-lands that saw heavy play before.
So they have the drawback of being each basic land type, so they're vulnerable to things like choke or boil.
Yep.
And then they have the drawback of cycling 3.
So I have a counter argument to that. Now, while they might be vulnerable to not only choke or boil, but also say Karma, Flash Fires, Active Volcano, right? Like while they are potentially vulnerable to such cards, you can also fetch them with things like a Wooded Foothills. So your Wooded Foothills, might get you both blue and, green mana. Or I don't know, if you could have like a 5-color deck where a Wooded Foothills gets you all of it, right? I guess it can't get you the Zagoth Triome, but it can get you the Indatha Triome and the Ketria Triome from green, and it can get you the Savai Triome and the Raugerin Triome from red. It can get you lots of Triomes. 5
Yeah, but if you play Misty Rainforest, you're in business, man.
Oh, wow. Misty Rainforest can get every kind of Triome. No, it can't get the Savai Triome. But you could still support 5 colors. The point being, if you have enough Triomes in your deck, it's real easy with basically any fetch land to support a 5-color deck if you wanted it.
Yeah.
These cards are incredible, right? Like
incredible?
Yeah, the previous...
Are they better than Watery Grave?
No, but they're different than Watery Grave.
But Watery Grave doesn't leave me incredulous. I don't know. Maybe I'm a stickler on the semantics here, but I can believe. Like to me, Darkslick Shores is the floor before I can even consider it to be incredible.
Okay, so let me phrase this a different way. These cards are substantially better than cycles that have always seen heavy play in Standard and have seen decent play outside of Standard.
Yeah, these will be staples.
Yeah, I think they're really good.
These are good. They're good.
And I think they're particular good in a potential format where we might be encouraged to see 3-color decks that have a lot of land. Because A, they support such decks, like a 28-land deck, and also you could just get rid of it if you have too many lands later in the game.
Dude, this is a game changer for Valakut. If you go get the Triumph for blue, green, and red,
Well, it is a mountain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. But then you can also just cast your blue and green spells.
How many of the triumphs are you going to play in Valakut, though?
One.
One? Yeah, okay. I buy it. Like, you don't want a window to get a tapped land. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, like let's not be too let's not get too frisky here.
Come on, man. It's turn 3. There's no way I'm getting Ketri Triumph.
Yeah. Although actually, topically, what do you think of Bonder's Enclave? This is the colorless land. Tap for colorless or tap and pay 3 to draw a card. Activates this ability only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater.
It's probably going to be really fantastic in some deck that I don't really want to play. I just compare it to, like Arch of Araska. I'm like, oh, okay, Arch of Araska, I got that land a lot, right? And I was like, all right, I found a way to find that land. And even in decks that had creatures, right? And I was just, I draw a couple extra cards a game, and, my opponent was like, oh, I have to deal with this stupid Arch of Araska. You're kind of hitting them from 3 different angles, and you're like, all right, you got Anissa going, and that's the only reason you got the Arch of Araska, because you were able to search for it. It's pretty bad. But, like, Arch of Araska didn't ask you to do anything other than have, like, a bunch of lands and ways to find lands. Bonder's Enclave asks you the same thing, and in addition, you have to have a creature. But in addition to that, you have to have a creature that's bigger than Anissa land. Right? So,
yeah, but you do get it on the cheap.
I mean, it's not expensive, except for, you're like, all right, this is also the kind of deck that's got to be maintaining a 4+ power creature. So, like, people
could be a
try
little
to kill
opportunity
those
cost.
things.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right, though. I think it'll be a one-of in decks that you don't want to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's fantastic in a deck that I am not playing.
What about Fiend Artisan? Golgari for a 1/1. It gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. You can tap and pay X in a Golgari and sacrifice another creature to search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle your library. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery.
Again, this card is probably insane in decks that I will never play.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think you would play this card?
I'm not a graveyard kind of guy.
No. What?
No.
Are you a Tarmogoyf guy?
No. I hate Tarmogoyf decks.
You're saying you've never played Tarmogoyf?
I actually don't believe I've ever sleeved a Tarmogoyf in a sanctioned tournament. I don't think I ever have. And I was an early, in terms of like knowing Tarmogoyf was a good card. Like I was just like, yeah, but think back. Tarmogoyf came out. You and I were Korlash brothers. I copied your Korlash. I was like Korlash and Mishra. I was a Firemane Angel guy. Right?
Yeah, but then I put Tarmogoyf in my Korlash deck, and then I boarded out Korlash every game.
I remember that. I remember you. I remember you developing that Tarmogoyf Korlash strategy at Johnny's. In like one day. It was sick, and then you won the standard portion of Nationals with it. I've never been a Tarmogoyf guy. I'll play a bad combo deck before a Tarmogoyf every time. I own Tarmogoyf. I don't think it's ever left my binder.
Okay, what about Birthing Pod?
Okay.
Would you Birthing Pod?
I've never Birthing Pod. I've never done that. I don't know. Every time Birthing Pod's legal, there's other sweet stuff that's legal. When Birthing Pod's been legal, I've done everything from Deceiver Exarching to Infecting. But, I mean, I can see myself Birthing Podding, but the thing is, like, Birthing Pod doesn't play to my strengths. Birthing Pod is about being very precise, knowing the right thing to do and doing that thing. I'm kind of loose, So,
they even made this card cost 2, so that it counts as having a cost of 2 or less. So you can just sacrifice your Luros of the Dream Den that you get out of your sideboard, and then go get whatever you want.
So, I take it you really like the Fiend Art. I think it's probably going to be really good in decks I don't play.
Ah, man. We'll have to see if you end up playing this card or not.
Oh, I have an important question.
Yeah.
What if I have a deck where all of my permanents cost 2 or less, and all of my permanents have activated abilities?
You can only use one companion in your main deck, or in your sideboard that you can go get. You have to declare who your companion is.
No. Can I have Aluris and Azurta both in my sideboard, and then depending on the game, declare which one's my companion? So, like, let's say I'm playing against you, and I'm like, all right, Aluris. Yeah. Then I'm playing against, game 2, I decide Zerta. I can do that, right?
I believe that at the beginning of the game, you choose your companion. You're allowed to put multiple companions in your sideboard, and then you have to declare who the companion is pre-game action.
That's kind of cool. I'm gonna have to noodle on this because I think that having multiple possible companions is an interesting thing you might want to do. So Zerta hadn't been revealed yet. I think Zerta is going to be a player. This one seems pretty sweet to me. Do you like Zerta?
So Zerta's the the one Boros 3/3. Abilities you activate that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana in that cost to less than 1 mana. And you can tap it and pay 1. Target creature can't block this turn. And the condition is that each permanent in your starting deck has an activated ability. And of course, land, their activated ability is generally tap.
Yeah. So
for mana.
Zerta itself is like only like medium exciting. You know, it is a gnarled mass, so I'm into it. But we posted a pretty cool just deck concept, which was obviously all creatures that had activated abilities, so Growth Chamber Guardian type stuff. You know, and then the Druid that does the same thing alongside Nissa and New Planeswalker Luca Coppercoat Outcast, which also has an activated ability. So all these like value generating permanents that have abilities. Oh, and Gilded Goose to get going, and then just a gigundous set of the cycling guy that's huge. It's just like a green guy. The Titanoth Rex. So 9 casting cost guy to get off of the second Planeswalker ability, but then if you draw it, you can just cycle it, which is another activated ability. So I thought that was pretty cool, playing around with the constraints of this companion.
Yeah, I have to give some thought to this one. I don't know well enough yet. It's just so hard to totally evaluate these things. It's such a departure, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, Luca seems like really, really powerful. Obviously, anything that you can basically like search your library and just steal a bunch of mana is a potentially good thing. Do you like? I don't know. It's a weird planeswalker. You know, Vivian's such an easily assessed planeswalker. I think Luca's a little more of a head scratcher, but I think we'll still be good.
Yeah, the big wild card to me is how much of a polymorph Luca ends up being. Like your ability to just go get you can just go get reliably whatever super heavy big bomb, you know? Like if you just play with tokens, or if all your creatures share a cost. Like if, for instance, all the creatures in your deck are either 2 cost or they cost a ton.
Yeah.
Then if you sack one of the 2 cost ones, you'll go get a thing that costs a ton.
Yeah, that's the way that I think it's supposed to go. And if you get one that costs a ton and it has cycling or something, it kind of defends you elsewise. But I think I think you got to be in it for the polymorph because the abilities. Yeah,
it's okay, but it's not the best Garrick ever. What up, Kinnan Bonder Prodigy? Blue-green, 2/2, legendary creature, human druid. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. And you can pay 5, a green and a blue to look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Sign me up for this. One's going to be very exciting to look at and talk about when the set comes out, and not going to be 100% there in terms of being overrated. It's really, really good on paper. But I'm just like, what deck do I want to put this in, really?
Basalt Monolith. So if you're playing Legacy...
Yeah.
Or Vintage. Let's say you're playing Legacy and you got Kinnan Bonder Prodigy. It's a 2-card combo that gives you infinite mana.
You're always about the Monolith infinite mana.
Okay, how about this, man? So if you have Kinder Bonder Prodigy, you can sack your Lotus Petal for 2.
Okay. That's really good.
Actually, does Lotus Petal tap?
Yeah, I believe it does.
Because I don't think Black Lotus does, right? Oh, no, it does. That's right. You do have to tap the Black Lotus because that was the move, is Icy the Black Lotus on the upkeep. That's the move. Dude, you can just tap any of your Moxes for 2. whether they're old school boxes or bougie, like like the fake later ones. I don't know, man. Pentad Prism, that doesn't really work. But if you have anything that lets you tap your artifacts for mana,
as a simpler
like the
person,
Urza or whatever.
I was just thinking about playing it with elves and Pioneer, right? The blue-green elves deck. You get a bunch of extra mana if you do that. But I think it's like impact is kind of medium in that deck. Or you remember that deck that was just like, obviously Oko's not legal anymore, but that was just like they had like 8 5-power guys you could play on turn 2, and then a ton of 1-mana elves and light permission disruption kind of angle.
This activated ability, isn't this like a very passable Summoner's Pact?
Yeah, it's very powerful. I think on paper this card is like, fireworks are going off. I just think that in practice I could totally be wrong on this.
I bet this card's good.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know that it'll end up being busted, but I bet it's good. I don't know. It just looks really efficient. It
looks really, really, really good to me. Except I don't know where I would play it where it's actually winning out on opportunity cost.
Dude, Basalt Monolith.
Yeah, but
dude. Okay, how about this, man?
You don't always want to break that card.
Okay, let's walk through this for a second. This is a special case. Let's say that you're playing with 4 Worldly Tutors and 4 Summoner's Packs. So if you got Kinnan, Bonder, Prodigy, and you Worldly Tutor, like that's pretty good, right? Like you could have 1 copy of Emrakul or Grizzlebrand, or if you needed to be green, you could go get like one of those like Endrunner, 4-Razor types or whatever, Primeval Titan or something. You could go get you could go get one of the like 15-15 or 16-16s if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's all in 1 card, right? That's pretty good. Maybe.
And then you can Worldly Tutor for Kinnan, Bonder, Prodigy, which is what you're going to want to do in a deck that's always killing so fast. And you can Summoner's Pact. Dude, Summoner's Pact, yeah?
Maybe this is good in 1.
Because you win immediately. You don't ever have to wait. You can just Summoner's Pact, go get Kinnan, put Kinnan in play, start tapping and untapping your Basalt Monolith.
Does this add anything to the existing collected company decks in Modern or Pioneer?
Not really. I mean, it does, but it's not going to end up being good enough. It's not the way.
It does something that you might want, right? But it's just not.
I don't know. Maybe. I guess. It's an inefficient way to do it.
So the thing is, like, in the ideas that you're having, and maybe I'm just not used to playing formats like Vintage, right? That, like, it just seems weird to me that you have this incredibly powerful mana engine that's just like, all right, I have a 2-card combo that's going to produce infinite mana, but one of those things is a 2/2. Like, in my mind, a 2/2 dies, right? Like, you need to get your money with the 2/2 because...
I mean, it doesn't always die. I'm talking about killing on the 2nd or 3rd turn.
No, I know.
You don't have to untap with this card.
If you're just like, Basalt Monolith, untap, 3rd turn, I don't know, maybe it's 2nd turn because...
No, don't untap. Just win immediately. Why wait?
I gotta make the blue greens.
Yeah.
Like even if you're like 1st turn Mana Vault, 1st turn
You can't put Mana Vault in Legacy, or are you talking about Vintage?
Yeah, Vintage.
That's a little Vintage, the bar is gonna be really high. Maybe it's fine.
I mean, 2-card combo for infinite mana.
They got a lot of that stuff,
But yeah, but there's still like he has a built-in 5 green blue, right? You're just gonna get whatever you want eventually. That's just how he does it. You don't have to give him a turn. I'm on your team from this perspective.
I'm not talking about giving him a turn. Yeah, it's the victory condition. You need to have blue and green mana somehow.
Yeah, that's my thing. He's so good on paper, but he needs a home. Right now, he's out in the street corner asking someone to give him a shot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think this one's a player.
I would be happy if you were right.
Besides, dude, okay, how about this? I can make it even better for you. Would you agree that Kinnan has an activated ability?
I do agree.
Would you agree that Basalt Monolith has an activated ability?
I do agree.
What if your companion is Zerda?
Well, they're all way cheap. What? So, what does that?
Yes.
Oh, that's kind of hot.
Okay, now you're getting it.
I got a lot of colors in my deck. That's fine.
Zerda's going to get either Basalt Monolith or Zerda is going to get banned in Legacy. Dude, okay, fine. Set aside Kinnan. Don't even play Kinnan if you don't want. What if your deck just has Basalt Monolith in it?
I mean, Zerda is so stupid in some formats. Like, now that I'm thinking about this, I'm like, what kind of condition is each permanent card in your starting deck has an activated ability? What if I mostly didn't play permanents and I just selected a few that happen to have activated abilities that are busted with Zerda?
Dude, how about this? What decks do you even play with permanents that don't have activated abilities?
Like beatdown decks, right?
Dude, your Belcher deck it meets the condition.
I mean, like, you know, the Monastery Swift Spear doesn't have an activated ability, right? Like, Soul Scar Mage doesn't have an activated ability. The average permanent non-land that I play doesn't have an activated ability, let's be honest.
Dude, isn't Zerda and Basalt Monolith just stupid in Legacy?
I mean, it's a heck of a jump. Yeah,
it's a 2-card infinite mana combo that it doesn't require any untapping or whatever, but also you don't have to draw one of the 2 cards.
Yeah, it's a 1-card combo, right? You just have to draw the Monolith.
Yeah.
You're just slow playing. You're like, 3rd turn Monolith, go, right? You're like, silence. Like, what? I guess. They're like, all right, play Zerda out of my side. I mean, but they have to know the Zerda's coming. It can't be a surprise.
Yeah, but so what? You don't have to ship the turn with Basalt Monolith available. Like, for instance, let's suppose that you had a Lion's Eye Diamond. You can discard your hand. Who cares? Zerda's in your sideboard. And then when you have no cards, who cares? You got infinite mana, dude.
Certainly something good can come of that.
Yeah, depending on what you discarded. I mean, you could just win right there.
How does Zerda work? So activated abilities that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. Does that negate Zerda's 1? Right? Is it really just a tap?
It can't. No, it says on it, this effect can't reduce the mana and the cost to less than 1 mana.
Oh, okay.
That's why they put 1 on here, is to try to teach everybody that lesson and get them familiar with it. You know?
I failed already, but all right. Thanks for clarifying.
Well, no, you didn't fail. You succeeded at learning the lesson. Now you've learned.
That's a nice way of looking at it. What's your most exciting thing that you wanna design around out the gate?
Well, I mean, now it's Basalt Monolith and Zerda. Yeah, I don't know. The card that speaks to me the most is it's either Kogla or Bastion of Remembrance. To me, looks so incredible for decks I don't want to play.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. Right off the gate, my the one that's got my juices flowing the most is definitely all this Kinnan and all this type of stuff. All the companions. I want to just build around the companions. I think the mechanic looks sweet, and I'm excited about all the different puzzles. So honestly, that's my answer. Is probably my top 5 cards are all companions in terms of wanting to build around. What about you?
Companion's going to be Zerda for me. I think Zerda and Kogla are gonna be buddies in my future soon-to-be universe. They went out of their way among Kogla's many abilities to give him an activated ability just so he could be buddies with Zerda. And I'm going to try to take advantage of it.
I don't know that that's the only reason, but sure.
It's a heck of a reason.
Awesome, dude. All right. This set looks sweet. See you next week. Bye.
In life didn't work so great. Tried to play Dredge, it's a jailer hate. Ghostly prison waiting for my untapped phase. Ikoria trapped in amber stasis state. Lost a lot of friends, got left behind. Had to find a way not to lose my mind. Trapped in a vault with nothing but time. Parents and my friends were